This
also.
conference will now be
And
recorded.
some have been asked in advance also. So whichever are appropriate, you can deal. It is not necessary that every question has to be answered. And some of the questions are, I mean, maybe irrelevant for you. Some of them may not be known to you. So that's okay. I mean, you can straight away tell them these answers to be found elsewhere. So get going. Welcome
Thank you, sir.
Poorna. Let's give
Thank you,
a
sir.
hand. I think there is a reaction column. Is
Yeah.
there a reaction which shows I can clap?
I have not.
Maybe no.
Not in
Yeah,
Zoom.
used to do that. Not in Zoom. No, this is not Zoom. This is GoToMeeting.
Yes, sir, it is in
Let's
Zoom.
get going. Poorna. Oh, it's in Zoom. Okay. Poorna, over to you. Starting.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I got a few questions that were sent to me across the Google registration. Like people had asked questions, and if you have any other questions, you can send it over the chat. I see someone has written that the organizer voice is low.
No, it is fine. I can hear.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll start off by saying my story as to how I came to Sweden and how I started working here. So basically, I passed out, as Sir said, I passed out my CA in 2011. I was working with a small firm in New Mumbai, in Vashi, in Mumbai. And after that, I got, hello?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
I think Sir is trying to say something and we cannot hear him. Sir, can't hear you.
Unmute. Sir, you will have to unmute first.
Vishal, mute yourself. Can we not have mute on? Vishal is muted. Go ahead. Poorna, get going.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I did my chartered accountancy in 2011, and then I started working at KPMG Pune after I shifted to Pune after I got married. Then I worked with KPMG Pune, and then from there I shifted to Bangalore. Then I worked with KPMG Bangalore for some time, and then we came back to Sweden. By my husband got a secondment in Sweden. He's an engineer, by the way. So once he came here, then I started looking for opportunities. I actually took a break because I had a kid then, and then I started looking for opportunities only when she turned 2. So when I started looking for opportunities, it was a bit difficult for me to get through, but I contacted KPMG Sweden because this was not a direct secondment or anything. I was looking for a permanent contract here. So I started talking to KPMG HR. I actually started calling up people personally saying that, okay, fine, I'm a chartered accountant from India. So I've been working with KPMG before. And they were kind enough to get me an interview. And they got me an interview in Stockholm, which is almost like 6 hours from the place where I stay. And then they really liked my profile, and then they recommended me to the KPMG office near to our place, near to the place where I stay, that's Malmo. And they also really liked me, and then I started working with KPMG Malmo for almost 2 years when I decided that I need to take a break. And now I'm looking into accounting field to look for an accountant opening. So this is how I got into Sweden. If you have any questions that you want to ask me, or if I should take the questions that were there on the Google Forms.
Yeah, take the questions first. Those are given.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think one of the questions was how valuable is Indian chartered accountancy in Europe? So I think chartered accountancy, like as per Indian standards, it's a very, very valuable course that you do because it's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But unfortunately, ICAI does not have a memorandum of understanding with all the countries in Europe. So there are a few countries, you can look it up in the ICAI website. So I think institute has tie up with UK, Australia, USA, the Middle East, of course, and then there is Ireland. So I think these countries, they have a tie up, and then when you go there, you just have to say that you're a chartered, like you have these forms where you say that okay, are you can claim exemptions in a lot of examinations, and then you have to just give a few examinations and then clear the local uh, qualification. You get the local qualification. But in a lot of countries in Europe, like personally saying in Sweden, like Indian chartered accountancy is not valid. So then there comes a challenge. So they do not understand what troubles you've gone through. So it's almost like yeah, it's a difficult path altogether. But I think the best thing to know what the value of chartered accountancy is would be to aim at a particular country and then see which country you want to go into and talk to the locals there. So nowadays you have so many social media platforms where you can reach out to people. You know that okay, fine, in this country there is this person who is an alumni of the institute who is working there. So probably I can send him or her a message on LinkedIn and get to know the challenges of that country. So I think that is one of the first steps, I would say, to see as to which country you are interested in going to, and then to reach out to someone who is already there and understand what qualifications or what are the challenges in that society. For example, in Sweden, when I came here, like they didn't even like I was studying SEMA, which was I know most of you would have heard about it, is the Chartered Institute of Management Accounting. But a lot of people told me that okay, this is going to take you places, because if you finish this qualification, then that would be very, that would be identified as a qualification. But then in the place that I live, which is a smaller part, like it's not as huge as Stockholm, so then they require a local educational qualification. They prefer a local educational qualification just because they know about it more. So then I think it's better to talk to someone who is in that region and get an understanding as to what qualifications you would require. And that's what I feel. The next question was about outsourcing. I just checked the chats if there's something else. Okay, so there is someone who says what are sorry, sir?
First take Google Forms because they have given the questions in advance.
Oh, okay.
Then take the chat here.
Okay, sir. Then I
Yes.
think there was a question
Before.
about outsourcing, like how to reach outsourcing work. I think there are a few websites like Upwork and Fiverr where you can, freelance your accounting skills. That's a very good source. I started off when I came here. I didn't have I didn't get a work permit immediately because I was here for a lesser period than 1 year. So I started updating my profiles on Upwork and free e-lancing websites where you can put up your profiles and then you can reach out to a lot of customers who can come to you, approach you for any accounting or cost work related stuff. So I think that's a very good way to reach out to a lot of clients. Then the best way, like the easiest way to come here, like a lot of people have asked as to what is if I'm working somewhere, how do I come, how do I travel, like how do I get into Europe? I think the best way, best time tested way would be to uh, get into a company which has headquarters here, which has branches all over the world, and then come on secondment to one of the European countries. That would be the best possible way. And I think big fours are very good at this because in recent times it has been increasing. The secondment has been increasing. So this is what is like, of course, if you get a secondment, there is nothing like that. And but to get a secondment, again, that's a challenge. But I think you have to be very persistent in your approach. And of course, that will happen. Then I think there was a question about CTA certification. I'm not very sure because I haven't been into taxation much. So I'm not very sure about taxation, taxation opportunities in and around Europe. But I know of a friend who has been, like, he was working in EY Chennai, and then he came to EY Stockholm. So I think if you're into international taxation, then that would probably be starting stepping stone for you. Then again, there was a question about how to improve and upgrade yourself to get a job in Europe. So I think that would be, again, I would go back to my first place where I said that it again depends upon which place or which country you want to go. If you're talking about the UK or Ireland, like, then you can think about doing an ACCA or all of these, where they are recognized institutes, where all of these qualifications are very much recognized. If you're going to Australia, then you could do the Australian CPA. That's also a really nice thing to do. I think Canada is also like every country has its own specifications, and you could do that. And I also feel that each and every country has its website, like your MC website. I could show it up for Sweden. And how do I do that? Just give me a minute. Uh,
You have screen share.
Yes.
yeah. Oh, sorry. So, for example, this one, it is called Sweden.se, Society Finding a Job in Sweden. And then if you go down, there are a lot of sites where you can find jobs. You have job listings in English. And then you have, for every country, you have a labor shortage list. So, labor shortage list, if you see that, it comes up in Swedish, of course, and it shows an error today. But then I think every country has this labor shortage list where it says that, okay, this is these are the areas where. Give me a minute. I'm just trying to get hang of the app. And how do I stop this screen sharing? Has it?
Just click on that screen. Where the word screen is there, you can click on that. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So if you go to each and every country's website, you have this labor shortage list wherein they say that, okay, in this country we are short of expertise in this area. So I think when you say that there are when you go to a country and you say, okay, accountants are in shortage, then you can probably look at the jobs that's available there, and then you can start applying. I think that was most of the questions, like the whole gist of it. Now I can take questions from the
Hello.
chat.
Ma'am,
Yes.
there are
Hello.
some.
From the chat.
There are, okay. What are the challenges to change the profile from auditing to accounting? Of course, like it depends as to how many years you've been into audit and how many after how long do you want to get into accounting. I still, just give me a minute. Sorry, I have a bit of a runny nose, so yeah. I think it depends upon how long you have been into auditing. But I think coming from India, like coming from the chartered accountancy background, we've always been taught that the basis of audit is accounting. We always have that aspect. The accounting aspect in us is very, very strong. So no matter how deep you go into audit, accounting is always in your, it runs in your blood. So I think you can always get into accounting. after doing audit. I am also a chartered accountant and ACCA. Is it possible to get a job in Europe by applying online? If yes, which country should I target? I think UK would be the best country to target because ACCA is very much valid over there. I think Ireland also is a good country. You could have a look at their embassy websites where you see if they have any job, like just like so I have been in Sweden, so I know that there is a website in Sweden where you can look up for jobs. I think it should be the same in UK as well. And also, if you're working in one of the big fours in India, then it's pretty you could get on a secondment to the UK. And I also think I recently read that there was a agreement, like a memorandum of understanding with the um, Netherlands government by India, where they were trying to have an Indo-Dutch financial corridor. So they say that it would be easier if you can initially find a Dutch company and then you start working in a Dutch company in India, and then you come back to come on a secondment to Netherlands. Then it says, what are work visa requirements? Is it possible to obtain PR? So work visa requirements, of course, it depends on the company. So it's the company that gives you a work visa for you. And then, is it possible to obtain a PR? Of course, if you stay in Sweden for 5 years. So the visa rules are different for each and every country. In Sweden, how it works is I came on a dependent visa here because my husband got a job. So and here on a dependent visa, you can work. So that's how I got my job here. And PR, you get a PR here after if you've been here for 5 years. Whether CPA Ireland degree would help for immigrating to Ireland. I surely think that would help. I Again, I am not the best person to do that. I would recommend you to like I again said, you could go on LinkedIn. You could search for people who are in Ireland, who are of Indian origin, who have the chartered accountancy qualification, and then you can just drop them a message saying, hey, hi, drop them a formal message asking for information. I think out of 10 at least there would be one person who would try to help you out there. How relevant is the CIA degree in Europe? So uh, coming back to all the degrees, it depends on which part of Europe you're targeting at. So it's always better to look at the local like the individual countries, so not to look at Europe as a whole, because I think it's almost like, how do you have different accounting systems almost everywhere in the world. So for each country it's different, and they're very specific. So I think the UK, the Middle East, Canada, USA, where English is the main language basically, that's more easier to get into. What is the scope for financial planning and analysis? Again, I have been into audit, so I do not know the scope for financial planning and analysis here. But I think if you are already here, then I think it would, you could start looking for jobs. You can also look at these websites where you have business controller openings, budgeting analyst openings, all these openings where you say where you could start applying for them and see what response you get. Any possibility to migrate to Europe at the age of 42, which leads to residency status later? I think age is not a matter. If you get a job, then I don't think age is ever a matter for the residency status. Does KPMG Sweden have accounting advisory or CFO advisory practice? Yes, of course, there are advisory services in KPMG Sweden as well. Whether US CMA will help in getting jobs in Europe? I think ACCA would be a better option if you want to come to the UK. And of course, US qualifications. I know I'm repeating this a lot, but I think it's how do I say this? Like, you have to consider as to where you want to go. And I think if you're doing the US CMA, why wouldn't you go try, jobs in the US? What is the average pay for a financial personnel? What are career development opportunities? So the average pay, it varies. It completely varies from what part of Europe you're in, how much experience you have had. Uh, I cannot get into that details. But what are career development opportunities that I can get into? So basically, every country has its own um, qualification. So in Sweden, how it works, I can again stick to Sweden because I come from Sweden. I don't come from Sweden, but then I have the experience of working here. So there is a qualification which is equivalent to a chartered accountancy in India. And so you can become, if you're in the accountant field, then that doesn't matter that much. But then if you're into audit, then of course you cannot be a partner if you have an Indian CA and not a Swedish qualification. So you have to finish all of that education. And that would mean learning Swedish first, having a basic education. Like, almost when I inquired here, they said that I would need 8 years of education to complete the Swedish qualification. So of course that comes as a roadblock in your way. But I think it depends on a personal point of view as well. Like, for me, the work I do matters more than the positions for me. So I think it's a personal standpoint. um, does applying jobs online help, or one has to be present in UK to apply for jobs? I completed my CA and ACCA. I don't think that, because again, you have a lot of visa problems. If you come on a um, you have to have some basis when you're applying for jobs. So if it's online, then it has to be online. I don't think that coming to you, if you're on a secondment, that would be a different thing. But just coming on a travel visa to Europe and applying for jobs wouldn't be a good thing, because that is not permitted. What is the scope for SEMA? So um, I do not know if I could take this personally, sir. Like, because I started doing SEMA given that I thought that SEMA is going to be more valid when I start searching for jobs. But for me in Sweden, again, this is very local. Let me tell you that this is very local from place to place. So when I started looking for jobs, like, I had my advanced diploma in management accounting that comes from SEMA. So when I did that, and I was pursuing to finish off my SEMA then, but when I went for interviews, then I had to explain to them what SEMA was and uh, which country it belonged to, and that was a bit embarrassing for me to have that on the CV, and then ending up to explain them, oh, this, like, I was doing SEMA just so that people could recognize me here, and then I'm in a face-to-face interview explaining them what SEMA meant. So yeah, you could draw your conclusions there. But again, this is Sweden. So of course, in the UK, I think everyone knows what SEMA is, what ACC is, everything. So you have to be very country specific when you're thinking about it. What certifications to be done in order to land myself a good job? I think a CA qualification is very good enough to land you in a very good job. Yeah, I do not know if you meant for in Europe, or according to you, does CISA help in getting an auditing profile abroad? Uh, I do not know much about CISA uh, openings here, but again, you could check on all these websites that I told you. You can go country specific. I think a lot of countries have these embassies where they have the labor shortage listings, and they have the job profiles put up.
Poorna, let me take an opportunity to ask some questions.
Yes, sir.
Because what is happening is that we are talking about the audience here which are from the finance background, but obviously they don't have, I would say, any roots anywhere in Europe, or
Yeah.
their spouses are not there. So we are talking about
Yeah.
a person who is in India, who is a CA or CA plus something.
Yeah.
And since you are from Sweden right now, let us restrict the discussion to Sweden.
Yeah.
So question number one is that could you tell me, I think I'll type the questions here also so that in the recording also it is useful. Other
Yeah.
than Big Four, which companies can uh, take on secondment?
Apart
Secondment
from,
in Sweden. Let's restrict to Sweden. Leave
okay.
aside the other countries. Yeah.
Okay.
Give me the names of some companies.
I think there is Tata also, which has some startups here in Sweden.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then in the finance background, I think
Anything, accounting also is fine.
Agility is another company which has operations here. Yeah, and then
Agility.
there is, yeah, and then there is Sandvik.
Sandvik.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Fine.
so I
Because
think these are,
is the
yeah.
I understand. Now you see what happens is somebody who joins the Big Four generally joins at the beginning of his career. So once
Mm,
5 to 7 years are over, getting a job in Big Four for a chartered accountant is very rare. That is one part, to
mm,
my understanding. Second part is the Big Fours here, by and large, take rank holders first attempts and like that. So now all the people are not so brilliant or fortunate or whatever, both combination
mm,
to get into the first attempt. So the chances that the current, I think the majority of the audience is CA completed and joined somewhere other than Big Four, of course. So I
okay.
don't think they have the opportunity of going on secondment to Big Fours because they may not be currently in Big Fours. That is why
Okay.
I asked you the names of the other companies through which
Okay.
one can try. For
Mm,
example, in my case, I found out that Mittals are in London, and we knew that Mittals have Ispat and some other companies in India. So
mm,
probing through there, I got it. So my personal
yeah.
experience and for the benefit of all is that first thing, if I want to go overseas for a job, then what I will do is I will find out two people there. One Indian entrepreneurs there
Mm,
who have the something there, and the second thing I'll find them is Indian chartered accountants there, so
mm,
that you can have the link. And therefore, what happens is you can ask them the straight questions, and that is why I tell everybody that I have 81,000 LinkedIn connections, and you are welcome in that because at least 10,000 out of those connections are overseas and
mm,
literally in almost every country. So I have
mm,
requested everybody to link it me on LinkedIn. Now, the next part is pure CA with 1 or 2 or 3 years of experience. By sitting here, and let's say that CA has passed in 3 attempts, so he has no chance of going to Big Fours. And those limited companies, Agility, Sandvik, and Tatas, may not have a second-man chance available. Now, imagine a situation, particularly a boy who is a CA with 2 years experience and straight away decides that let me venture into Sweden. Okay,
mm,
he simply comes to Sweden straight away. Now you rightly said on a traveling visa you can't take a risk. So on
yeah.
which visa can he come? Is there any
I
visa on
don't
which he can come?
know, sir. I don't know. Like I
Okay,
really don't think there is any possibility like that. So until and unless you get
okay,
invited
okay.
by the country, you cannot come and find jobs here. The best possible way
Fine.
would be to go onto these sites, apply for jobs, and then if you get a call, mostly it should be a Skype interview and things, and then they will send you your work permit. Only when they send you the work permit can you come and work here.
Uh, I would, with due respect to you, ask you
Yeah.
that how many such cases you have actually seen among the chartered accountants who went through the sites and got a job into Sweden by being in
Uh,
India?
I personally do not know anyone, and I actually do not know anyone who has even tried doing that. So
Okay,
I
okay.
do
So
not know if I'm the right person to ask. But I think there are a
no,
lot of people, not in Sweden, but then I know a lot of people who have got into the Middle East doing this. So,
Middle East, yes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
let's discuss
yeah,
Middle
Middle
East.
East,
But
yes.
I would
And then from Middle East, I think
Canada.
coming here would be easier.
Is that okay? Okay, okay.
I think
That's
because
interesting.
you have an international experience, and then your CV gets more value. I feel that way.
Okay, okay. Now, this Canada, for example, based on the marks and qualifications, one gets a PR, and he can
Mm.
try it there by surviving on his own.
Mm.
So, in Sweden, one can't try that, right?
No, no, sir. As far as I know, I don't think there
Okay.
is any such option. You can try coming here on a study visa, like you can start doing your master's here or something in economics, and then you can start
Okay.
getting a job here. That would be an option. Yeah.
Okay.
Or a
Now, I
PhD
think a
also.
week back, sorry,
Because
Poorna?
or a PhD also, because when you're doing a PhD here, you normally get paid. Unlike
Uh-huh.
other countries, so you're getting paid to do a PhD here, and then you can look for jobs. So that is a good option.
Okay, I understand. Now, few days back, we had a session similar way. One of the students of mine from Switzerland, she
Okay.
was being interviewed. I mean, she was
Hmm.
on the webinar. She helped us, and she said that study visa for MBA finance in Switzerland will cost you, including food. I mean, roti, kapda, makan, and education will not cost you more than 10 lakhs for 2 years. I mean, not per
Uh-huh.
year, to 10 lakhs. And then after 10 lakhs, you will get a job which will have a saving potential of at least 20 lakhs. Okay, and the
Okay.
placement is almost 100%. How would you compare Sweden's situation there? I'm talking about the financial budgets because they matter.
Uh, I haven't researched on this, to be frank, I haven't researched on how much it is going to cost to come here and study. But what I know about Sweden is that here education is comparatively very cheap. And also, someone had also asked this question about the social security in Sweden. So when you study in Sweden, and then I think getting a job is because accounting is something that's very, like, even during Corona times, you can see so many openings in accounting sector in Sweden. So like it sells like hotcake here. Accountants, if if you're educated in Sweden, then of course it sells like hotcake here. So that is that is one of the main points, like you can get a job here, but also after you get a job there is a lot of security if you have a PR here. If you come here and you work for 6 months, then you have unemployment benefits, you have if you have a family, then you have 1.5 year of parental leave, you have free education. So if you if you come here and you have a dependent who wants to do masters, then that is also free. So I think that way there is a lot of social benefit and social security in Sweden. So I think that is to be considered. If you want to settle in Sweden, then it's a very good thing.
But the first you need a PR, right?
Yeah, of course, that meaning that if you're coming here on an education, I'm saying. So if you come here, you have an education and then you start working. So of course you get a
Okay,
PR
now
then.
let's say,
Even if you come on a student
now
visa, you
suppose,
have all these benefits.
I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
somebody came for study, and
Hmm.
since you are saying it is economical, so somebody does, let's say, the most useful qualification there for getting job, something like
Hmm.
MBA or you said economics.
Yeah.
Now that qualification takes or 2 years, whatever. And after that, what is the probability that the person will definitely get a job, or if he doesn't get a job, beyond how many months he cannot remain there?
I think they have changed the visa rules a lot, but last I heard, I think it was 6 months that you get, like, you have the time of 6 months to get a job. But I might be wrong here. You have to like, we have to check the website for this. And but I really think if you come from, like, if you have a accountancy background in India and then you come here and get an education, I do not think there would be, like, I think there would be a very little chance that you don't end up getting a job.
All right. Now, this when one gets a job there, or rather, when one comes there, how many Indian chartered accountants are there approximately? Any idea?
No, I've been thinking about this thing wherein we have a community where all the chartered accountants come together and try to help each other out, because that was my biggest problem when I started looking for a job here. Because there are a few chartered accountants who have jobs here, but still there is no community as such. So it's very hard to locate as to how many chartered accountants are here. And then actually that would be a very good thing to start off with, like, have a community in each country where you have that, okay, chartered accountants in Sweden, chartered accountants in Switzerland, where then you have these posts where people can ask specific questions to them.
Actually, in many countries now, Indian Chartered Accountants Institute has has chapters.
Yeah.
So I think there are more than 10, 15 chapters already. Even if you take Gulf has 5, 6 chapters. Then Australia, New Zealand, Papua Guyana, US, UK, Canada. I think
Yeah.
around 10, 15 chapters are set there. But I mean, cities like Sweden, etc., countries like Sweden, obviously,
Yeah.
there may not be that much. Now, other than chartered accountants, are there sufficient Indians?
Sorry, sir?
Do you come across the Indian people, whether CAs or otherwise?
Yeah, there are a lot of Indians, sir.
Most of them may be IT guys.
Yeah, mostly engineers, yeah.
Okay. And engineer means computer engineers, right?
Yeah, yes,
Mostly.
sir. Yeah. Or people who
Okay.
have come here to study and then they settle down here. So I think that is their, like, go-to thing, coming here for education and then settling down here.
That makes sense, I think. Okay,
Yeah.
now the one guy who was CA in ACCA, and you are saying that ACCA is a qualification in demand in Sweden also. Is that correct?
ACCA, not at least not in Malmo, sir. Stockholm probably it might be more recognized, but so it again depends. That's why I've been, like, stressing on this, saying that okay, it depends on a lot of cities and the places where you go. So uh, yeah, because Sweden is very it's mostly restricted that way.
All
I
right.
think
All right.
ACCA would
All
be
right.
more um, recognized in the UK or Ireland.
Okay. 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 Now, coming to the Sweden opportunities, what I'm saying is, I mean, there are many Indians who are strict vegetarians. So if
Mm.
they come for studentship, are they able to get the veg food?
Of course, sir. I've been vegan for 2 months now, so it's very easy to find vegan food here, vegan vegetarian food here.
Okay, okay, okay. Now coming to the question of the comparable, like a CA exam, which is the exam in Sweden?
It is called like a revisor exam here. So you become like a certified revisor. It's called
Revisol.
revisor is like an auditor.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Now these auditors get jobs or they go into practice?
No, so it is completely different in Sweden. So if you become, it's only audit. So in India, in chartered accountancy, you have audit, you have accounting, you have financial management, you have cost management and everything. But then in Sweden, it's very specific to audit. So if you are into audit, only then you can like get that certification. And if you quit audit for more than a year, you have to renounce your certification. So if you
See, I mean,
if a person who if a person who is an odd like who is a partner who is signing financials, he goes and gets becomes a CFO somewhere, he gets into accounting, and he has to write his exams again after 1 year.
okay.
So it's very audit specific.
So are you saying that if somebody becomes an auditor in Sweden, he is either in Big Four or he is in some other audit firms?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if that is the case, are there sufficient number of audit firms?
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay,
there are.
so what is the scope? Like, for example, some Indian CA comes there on a student visa and does the auditor course itself on the student visa. Is that possible?
Yeah, you have to learn Swedish for that, but here. So
Okay, so
it is a very detailed course. So when I started talking to them first, they told me that I would have to have like 8 years of education in Sweden to finish off the course.
8 years of education.
Yeah. So I
Very
have
good.
to start at ground level because everything would be done in like starting off with Swedish and then economics and then trying to work uh, here and then getting a educate like a qualification.
So long and short, an Indian can never be generally an auditor there. All right.
No,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
sir.
And then, since barring some economics and MBA, I don't think there is any encouraging degree there, neither ACCA nor CA.
No, sir.
So, so typically, somebody asked about CFA USA. Have you come
Hmm.
across any CFA USA who has got a job in Sweden?
No, sir.
Indian person? No. Okay.
No.
And in terms of the cost of living,
Mm.
I mean, let's say let's say a person like me wants to come for moving around in Sweden. Apart
Yeah.
from the air travel cost, how much will it be? Most economical?
You
Not
mean
in
on
your home,
a,
outside.
you mean like staying
Holiday.
here or
Staying for a month, but just as a tourist and not doing anything.
just as a tourist? Okay. Uh, I think if you find it depends on which part of Sweden you are in. So Stockholm is very expensive. The southern of like different places are a bit different. Stockholm is the most expensive, I would say. So
Hmm.
uh, I think you would at least require around mm, 3 to 4 lakhs, depending on your cost of living. Actually, it's very subjective.
I understand.
Yeah.
No, no, that's true. That's okay. And last question from my side is that I'm 63 now. So if
Yes.
I think of doing PhD, coming to there for study, is that practically feasible, or we are talking? Don't say yes just because make your teacher happy. What are the?
Uh, I think, of course, at 63, I wouldn't recommend that because then, yeah, it would be before you finish your PhD, it would be a retirement age as per Sweden. So I'm sorry to be very harsh.
Is the admission likely? What are the
I
chances
think I think
being
Swedish people are
age?
very open to people getting education, so I don't think that would be a problem because I know a lot of people
Okay.
in their 40s and 50s going to college here, so I don't think 60s would be a problem.
So entry is not a problem. By the time I finish, I may or may not be there. That's okay.
No, no,
I
no.
would have spent my last part of the life in Sweden, where there is no corona risk currently. All right. Anyway, let me open the forum back to others. If anybody has any questions, feel free, because with a lot of persistence, I could get Purna. Generally, big four people थोड़ा ज़्यादा भाव खाते हैं, and if somebody is the most brilliant CEO of the decade, और ज़्यादा भाव तो खाएंगे ही. तो मैंने काफी मेहनत किया है पूर्णा जी को लाने के लिए. So please ask some questions. Whatever you have. I think you already asked a lot of questions. Purna, I think there are few questions there.
Okay. I would just
Can
like to clarify one thing. So when I said that you you cannot be an auditor, I meant that you couldn't be the top level, like the creamy level of auditors, but you can of course be, you know, a manager or a senior manager level auditor, where you're not signing the financials, but you're almost doing everything else. Yeah.
So that position other can get.
Yeah, so I was working with audit, so so that would be a contradiction to say that you cannot be an auditor, but you know, I was working with audit, so I think that was a bit of a contradiction to say. So I would say that you can be an auditor, but you're not allowed to sign the financials. So you can work in the field of audit because you have knowledge, right? So you can work in the field of audit, but then you cannot sign financials. Yeah.
Just see the remaining questions, please, which came just now, sometime back.
Whether accounting or some other work can be outsourced from Sweden to India. Yes, of course, there are a lot of companies which have like accountants in India. They have their how do you say, service centers in India which do their accounting. Any age limit to pursue education in Sweden if secondment is not possible to move into Sweden? I don't think there is any age limit to pursue education in Sweden, because Sweden is a country where, you know, you have people who change their field of work at every age. You can see people who are 40 in their 40s and 50s, you know, going to education institutes to learn something different. I have a friend of mine who was doing his biotechnology. He's a PhD in biotechnology, and then recently he switched to doing engineering. He studied engineering and started working as an engineer now, and he's 45 plus. So how is work-life balance in Sweden? I think work-life balance is really good. It depends upon which area you're working in. Audit has been a bit stressful for me, but I think accounting, otherwise it's really good. Like other fields are very good. Also in audit, it's mostly in the months of January and February. That's very stressful because it's year end then. But otherwise, it's really good. Are there opportunities in finance apart from audit? And is CAs considered for the same? So yes, there are accounting like opportunities other than audit, of course. Again, you could see this site that I told you about. There you have so many accounting, you have business controller roles that's open, and a lot of different roles where you can get into, like group financial controller roles, where you can get into. And is CA considered for the same? So basically, they do not, like when you apply, you have to it's better to, you know, make if you're applying via LinkedIn or anything, it's better to, you know, send out a mail or like a message to them saying that, okay, this is what your qualification means. Because sometimes they like from personal experience, when I was here and I started applying for jobs, um, I would apply even for like junior accountant roles, and then they would send back a mail saying that, oh, you're like, we found more qualified people suited for this role. And it was a jolt for me back then, but now I understand, because the place where they come from, a lot of people do not understand what Indian chartered accountancy is. So it's better to, you know, have that a place where your cover letter means a lot more. So it's better where when you write a cover letter, you're more vocal about what you have done, about your work, rather than concentrating on your qualification. Because some, you know, coming from India, we always have this like, I'm a chartered accountant, and then everyone's eyes sparkles, and then you feel very good about yourself. But then when I came here first, I'm like, I'm a chartered accountant, and people looked at me, what's a chartered accountant? Kind of. So I think that keeps me very grounded. But of course, like, I think you should concentrate more on, you know, making the cover letter that's more personalized, where you say, this is what I have worked on. So when you tell them that this is all that you have worked on, then they understand more. It's not that they are demeaning you by saying, oh, what's a chartered account. It's just that they don't know about it. So they would really love to have that personal touch where you say, okay, this is what I have worked on. So I think cover letters and your messages, they really mean a lot. Are there opportunity? Yeah, that's the question. How to get accounting outsourcing work from Sweden? I think you could start by doing putting up your account on Fiverr or Upwork. I think I did that when I initially started doing this in Sweden. And then you get a lot of contacts, not only from Sweden, but from all over the world. You need to have a lot of reviews and stuff like that.
Can you repeat the names of website?
It's Fiverr, so Fiverr, if I'm not wrong.
Can you type in chat?
Oh yeah, sure, I do that. Or I could look it up also. Oh, I have to just give me a minute, sir.
Yeah.
So so these are the two websites. This is upwork.com, and then there is Fiverr. So you can, you know, go here and, you know, build your account. I think there are a lot of accountancy. You have data science analytics, and then you have employers here who look at your profile and, you know, give you some job. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
clear. Good, you wrote there.
Yeah.
So I think we can conclude now. And thank you to Poorna. And let's give her a big hand and a big clap. I
Yeah.
would request everybody to give her a big clap, those who are not visible. And I'm sure this session was beneficial. And all of you know that we have continuous sessions. One more session on Canada is coming up, and the other sessions are also happening. So do go to my LinkedIn site where you get the total timetable of webinar. And it was very clear. I liked the way Poorna explained that she had a complete clarity of thought. Otherwise, because she knows quite well, and she also knows what she doesn't know. Because many times people, what happens, they themselves are confused. So from that angle, I mean, as it is, of course, I continue to say, and today, after today, I further continue to say that I am lucky to have met one of the most talented chartered accountant of this decade, and I will cherish my memory to have such a brilliant student. And with this, I thank Poorna and convey my wishes to all your home people and be in
Yes,
touch.
sir.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
Thank
one
you.
I
last.
would really like to thank you for this opportunity. And also, people, like, if anyone has more questions, or if I've come across as, you know, I haven't answered your questions properly, then you could, of course, come across and uh, send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to help you out.
Yeah, thank you, sir and ma'am. I would like to make one last point. I have shared the feedback form link. So everyone, please share your feedback on this session, as well as you can share some ideas for future webinars, what we should keep. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Poorna.
Yeah.
And
Thank you,
here
sir.
are
Thank you so much.
key thanks.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thanks.
And thank
Bye.
you, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Audience, we are concluding. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you.